welcome to week 4 of Made by Mini Makes, a virtual art and craft club for kids and big kids too, because we know you adults are liking getting involved. We've seen the evidence. We have new themes all the time on our videos and our blogs. So what do we think the theme is this week?
Super Ted, we need your help. The mighty stink bomb's trying to take over the world. Help us, help us. Boom.
Yay, Super Ted! Well done. You saved the world. Amazing. So good. Thank goodness you stopped Stink Bomb taking over the world. I love you, Super Ted. As you know, we're so inspired by our amazing real-life superheroes. So we decided we'd dedicate the entire week about superheroes. And we've even based it on a pop art style. The pop art movement of the 1950s and 60s was all about bright colours, bold images, and lots of fun. It was all about popular things like celebrities, TV, fast food, and movies. Now, not much has changed. We like all of those things today. Famous artists like Andy Warhol, Roy Lichtenstein, and Keith Haring, just to name a few, used all kinds of ways to make their art, such as collage, street art, a bit like graffiti, advertising posters, and even comic book art. So I wonder which one inspired us today. Can you think? This week's mini make is a nod towards Roy Lichtenstein. He used comic book style in his work, including painting using dots called the MADEby dot system used in printing, a bit like these and these. And today, in our mini make, we'll be using a very simple version of this. So, my little superheroes, capes on, masks down, and let's get crafty!
So let's begin. Before you start, make sure that you have your card or paper ready. I used 1 sheet of yellow card, 1 sheet of pink paper, 2 sheets of black paper, and 3 sheets of white paper, all about A4 in size. If you don't have any coloured paper, just follow the next stage. I wanted my first layer, layer 1, which is my background layer, to be dark blue in colour, but I didn't have any dark blue paper or card, so I decided to paint it. If you have all the colours that you need, then you can skip this stage completely. If not, get your paints out and start painting your card or paper. Just a tip though, card paints better than paper. So if you don't have any card, simply use the cereal box or some card from some packaging instead. Once all of your sheets of card are dry, or perhaps you didn't need to follow that step, it's now time to draw out our background layer, our layer 1. On your sheet with a pencil, draw a cloud shape. It doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, different sizes of bumps looks even better. Then simply cut it out. Use your hands to flatten it out, just so you've got a nice surface to paint the dots onto. You will need your white paint and either a cotton bud or something like a piece of wood. A piece of dowel is great for this, to create dots. Perhaps have a go with a few different style of stick objects to see what size of dots you want. Test them on a piece of card or paper. I decided to go for the dowel. I wanted bigger dots for mine. Starting in one corner, start to stamp the dots. Try not to use too much paint, otherwise they won't look like dots and more like splodges. Keep going until you cover the entire cloud shape. Once you've finished, set aside and leave to dry. Now we're going to do the explosion layer. I chose a nice yellow colour for this layer, but again you can use any colours you like. With a pencil, start drawing a spiky cloud this time, a bit more like a big explosion. Again, it looks better when your spikes are all different shapes and sizes. Then once again, cut it out. And there we have it. Turn it over so the pencil marks are on the back, and then lay it on a piece of scrap paper. Next, you'll need a black permanent marker, or a felt tip pen is fine. Carefully, you're just going to draw a black line, an outline, all the way around your big explosion. It doesn't have to be perfectly neat. Keep going all the way round until your entire explosion is covered with a black outline. And there you have it, your explosion with a black outline, which gives it much more of a comic effect. Now to make the smoke layer. This is one of my favourite layers. As we are creating an explosion effect, we're going to actually create little streams of smoke coming out of the sides. On a piece of A4 white paper, draw a little tree shape. So like a cloud at the top and then a long trunk. Then turn your piece of paper over and do exactly the same again. They do not have to look the same. By turning your piece of paper over, it means that you can get more on your piece of paper without wasting any. Repeat the same thing again until you've got 4 trees. Then cut them out. Now, just like we did for the explosion layer, we're going to create an outline effect on them to make it look a bit more like a comic. So taking all 4 of your trees, or actually smoke clouds, pop them onto a piece of scrap paper again. With your black permanent marker or felt tip pen, start to outline your trees. Again, they don't need to be really neat. Once you've completed the outline, almost all the way round, you don't need to do the flat bottom because we won't see that bit. You can then add some extra details just to make it look a little bit more like smoke. So you can see here, I'm just adding some extra tiny little lines. Then simply repeat for the other 3 streams of smoke. And if you want to, you can add some other little shapes as well. Phew, so many layers! We're now on layer 4. Taking your piece of white paper, lay it over the top of your yellow explosion. The reason for doing this is we're trying to see how big layer 4 needs to be. My yellow layer was around A4 in size, so I simply folded my white paper in half to make it A5, as I knew then it would be smaller than the yellow layer. The easiest way to do this is fold your A4 sheet in half and then just cut it. And there you have A5. Now, taking a pencil, you're going to draw another kind of bang shape on there as well. This time I went for a bit more of a jagged edge. Once you get all the way round, you're going to get your scissors and cut it out again. Once you have finished, just double check that your white layer is smaller than your yellow layer, or whatever colours you are deciding to use. Don't put your white layer too far away, because what we're going to do now is we're going to use some black paper to create a 3D effect shadow. Lay your piece of paper or card on top of the black piece of paper. Make sure that the edges are away from the edge of the black paper or card. Holding it with one hand and a pencil in the other, you could always get someone else to help you by holding it for you. You're going to draw an outline all the way around your layer 4, probably about a fingertips distance away from the edge. This is so that we get our shadow effect. Once you are happy, cut it out. If you have any pencil marks still left on your black sheet, just using a rubber, rub them out. Then double check how they look. One should be bigger than the other, giving you that shadow effect. Now let's create our onomatopoeic pop, or you could use any word you like, such as boom, snap, crash, bang, anything you like. Draw out your letters a bit like bubble writing, or however you like. Make sure your bold lettering is not too big or too small. You want it to be able to fit onto your shadow layer. Once you've drawn the letters out, cut them out with some scissors. Remember to mind your fingers when you're using scissors. If you have tricky letters, like this P in pop, pop a little bit of blue tack on the table, stick your letter on there, and using some scissors, poke a hole through. You may want to ask an adult for help with this. With your scissors and the hole, cut into the corners to create a little triangle, and cut off the triangle. That will help you get your scissors in to be able to then get round the curve. You can do this exactly the same for the other P. Once you've finished, move all the waste bits out of the way so you don't get confused, and there you have your pop. Arrange your letters on a piece of black paper or card. You're going to now use these as a template, so drawing around them to copy the letters exactly the same. Ask someone to help you with this if you find it difficult to hold the letters in place. Use a rubber to get rid of any pencil marks. Do this carefully until you've done all the letters. Then once again, get your scissors and cut it out. Remember to be careful when poking your scissors through the inside of the letters to create the holes. Ask an adult to help you with this bit. You should now have your word in 2 different colours. The black one is going to form the shadow of the coloured layer, just like we did before. Pop your coloured letters on top of your black letters and arrange them so that it looks like the shadows behind. To do this, just make sure that they're not directly on top of each other, but off to the side. Now have your glue handy because we're going to stick them down. Leave the letters where they are, as this will help you to remember how to stick them down. With your glue, pop on a little bit of glue onto the black layer. Don't worry about it if there's too much glue because it will dry see-through. Keep going with every single letter until you've done all of them. Wipe off any excess glue that might squidge out from around the edges. Fantastic! Now you have your cool lettering with drop shadow. So we're now going to arrange them onto that white explosion layer that we did, or whatever colour you chose. Again, using your glue, stick your letters down. Pop! And we're now ready to put it all together. Now for the exciting part, putting it all together. Taking some cardboard from a cardboard box, cut it into strips and then cut it again into little squares. You may need to ask an adult for help with this because it can be quite tough to cut. Move all of your little squares of cardboard out the way so that you have a clear space to work in. Get your layer 1, your dotty layer, and place it in front of you. Lay your smoke effect little bits of card around your layer 1. It doesn't matter where they go, but I decided to put each of the smoke ones in each 4 corners and then randomly put the other shapes in between. It doesn't have to be equal. In fact, it looks quite nice when it's a little bit random. Once you're happy, have your glue to hand. Taking one square of cardboard, put some glue onto one side. you'll need a nice blob of glue to make sure it sticks in place. Stick it to your background dotty layer. Add another blob of glue to the top of the cardboard and stick on one of your smoke shapes. You should now start to see a really cool 3D effect emerging. You're going to repeat the same thing for every single one of the other shapes, gluing and sticking. Whilst the glue's still wet, you can adjust them where you want to. Then pop your explosion layer over the top. We're now going to attach this layer to the smoke layer. Pop a good sized blob of glue on the inside edge of each one of the smoke shapes. Then place your explosion layer how you want it over the top and carefully press down with your hands to stick it in place. Starting to look really cool. We've still got a few bits to add before it's finished. The next layer is our black shadow layer. Just like we did at the beginning with the cardboard, we're going to create a little stand for it. So taking a few pieces of cardboard squares, stick it to the back of the black layer. You probably want to stick on perhaps 3 or 4 of these. Then, once they're stuck in place well, add some glue to the top of them. Carefully flip it over and decide where you're going to stick it before you stick it down. Using your hands again, carefully push it in place. And now you're ready to add your final layer, the layer with your text. Before you start sticking it down, decide where you want it to sit. Ideally, you want to be able to see the black so that it looks like a shadow is behind it. Again, stick 3 or 4 little pieces of cardboard to the back, glue both sides, and then with your hands, push it down. Now very, very carefully, flip it over. You can wait till it's dry to do this if you'd prefer. Taking a stick, I've used a chopstick, but you can use anything you like. You're going to use some sticky tape to tape it to the back. Any tape will do because you won't see it, as long as it's strong enough to hold the stick in place. Pop-tastic! You have your 3D onomatopoeic pop art superhero sign. Try saying that fast. Have fun, kids!